All right, everybody. It's Josue and Jeff again.
We are back.
Coming right back at you.
We're breaking, but we're working somehow simultaneously.
Yep, we're back on January 9th with new episodes. But in the meantime, we're releasing some classic ones that we have.
Classics, including Classic Sinatra 2 weeks ago, The Godfather last week, and we have another. I'm so excited about this re-release this week before we hit our next season.
Yeah, but first, we want to let you guys know we want your suggestions. Send us some recording of yourself telling us why we should watch something that maybe you love, something that's nostalgia to you.
Yep.
Something that could be better for our futures.
That's right. We'll review it. And this is something new we're doing for this season. So we want your voices to be our podcast intro.
Yeah.
And we're going to use them. If we want your suggestion, if we like your suggestion, we're going to use your voice on the podcast episode. So this is your chance. Bust out that phone. It doesn't need to be an expensive microphone in a studio. Literally just the app on your phone.
Yep, exactly. Quick, 30 seconds, something that just will draw us in for that intro of the episode.
And give us your best 1 to 2 line pitch of why your suggestion is a nostalgic thing that we should revisit.
Yep, exactly. And so what are we releasing right now?
It's part 2. I wish we had video of all of part 1. I only have part of it. But this part 2 episode of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, our 15th episode.
Our 15th episode, the 1985 TV special, Alice in Wonderland. We had our very first podcast guest in studio.
That's right.
My brother Jimmy came. He sat in this space with us, and we recorded a full episode about part 2 of Alice in Wonderland from 1985.
Yeah, and it was a good time.
It moved him so much that he has now read all of the books, a book about Lewis Carroll.
Oh my gosh.
This is something that you're going to want to listen to, watch, and then maybe look it up on YouTube and probably watch it for about 5 minutes. Go, where's Ringo Starr?
No, the podcast is better than the actual content that we're reviewing. So yeah,
you're going to enjoy this conversation a lot. So now presenting to you episode 15, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Welcome to What Do You Think of This? We are revisiting the best things from our past to let you know whether they're the best things for your future. I am Jeff Abiad, and with me is Josue Escobar. Hi, Josue.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
Really good. And we got a special day today, right?
Yeah, I've noticed it feels extra crowded in the room.
A little bit, yes. We got a desk in between us now.
We pulled a second desk into the studio space.
A second desk, yes.
We now have 2 desks. Why were we doing that, Josue?
Because we had to just surround me with Abiads today.
That's the case.
Yep.
Because we have our very first ever guest on the podcast.
Yeah, does this mean the podcast is growing?
Physically,
yes.
We're about to outgrow the space. Welcome, Jimmy Abiad.
Yay, hello.
I wish I had an applause sound now.
Can you call me Second Desk? That is a high up name in the British MI5 that I learned about.
It's called Second Desk?
Second Desk.
That's your title.
Okay.
That's it. You're the first one who's asked.
I thought we were just going to call you
official.
Jay. Okay. But then you'd be Jay too.
That's right.
Names.
And I'd be Jay.
You'd be
room full of Jays.
We didn't think this through.
Yep.
Well, okay, we brought you here for something very special, and we're going to get into the details later, but it's because of this episode that we're going into today.
Yes.
You are our qualified expert in an unexpected turn of events.
An expert on my life as it applies to this medium.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
An expert on trauma, childhood traumas.
Oh, yes. Lots of that. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about part 2 of Alice in Wonderland today, Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Oh my gosh.
I only have a little bit after that of closing the loop because I have a feeling with 3 of us, this could take a long time and we got to get to it.
Yep.
And so before that, I also have a very short quiz.
Cool.
But because, Jimmy, you have not been here for any of these episodes in person, you've just been yelling back at your headphones.
Yeah.
When you want to contribute. I thought today I'll throw you our question, which is based on this episode. Are there any things in childhood that you wished you could do? Like adults were doing this, but you as a kid were excluded. Think like Thanksgiving table that you couldn't do that you can now do as an adult. And maybe you're excited about it, or you were like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Well, yeah, two things. Funny that you say Thanksgiving table, because the only thing I could really think of was to be at the grown-up table during a meal. And I think not only because I want to like talk to everybody, but I think it was also easier food access. Like, because if you sit at the kids' table and you get smaller portions and you have to wait to be served. So I think to be for access. But otherwise, it's funny that there probably is not much I can think of. As a kid, I was like kind of aware that I did not want to be with the adults.
Oh, kind of boring.
Which kind of actually tied into something that came up during this watching.
Yeah.
But it was like the idea of like, I want to have like recess as long as I can.
Yeah.
I want to be where the children are.
Exactly.
Where the children are.
Ariel, no.
Because I remember as a kid, and you will know this, so you will not, because you didn't grow up in the same house. But our grandmother or our grandfather, we used this fancy dish that had M&Ms in it. Do you remember? In the wall unit.
I can smell it still.
Yes, you open up the wall unit, and it was, so fancy looking, but it had M&Ms in it.
Oh, I can imagine the smell.
It looked like a stereotypical genie lamp.
Yeah, and they would dish out to us little handfuls of M&Ms. We're talking like 8. Right? Like 10
I don't
M&Ms?
remember the portions.
Oh, I remember them coming in very small portions and on a tissue, because otherwise it would get on our hands. I just remember that right now. And now as a parent, I'm like, Jeff,
this is what made Jeff this way.
And now I don't do that to my children. They have access to this giant candy bin. I'm all the time like, have you eaten breakfast yet? Why are you eating Smarties?
Oh my gosh.
They're at the point where they're hiding it from you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, here, Dad, here's your tissue.
Yeah.
Was there anything, Josue, as a kid that you weren't allowed to do, or you were like, I wish I could be a grown-up so I could do this?
There wasn't much. I think my childhood was kind of cut short. I felt like I needed to grow up quickly, because my parents always did things with other people. I was always dragged me to them. I didn't go to do things with my older brothers. They always left me with my parents. And they were, doing church stuff all the time. So we're visiting people, and I was like involved. With
pastor,
just
right?
Involved with the grown-up stuff all the time. So I always wanted to be with the children too.
Look at us.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe says something about Alice too.
Oh, it does.
It does. I remember being involved with adults so much that I'm in the room when they're like drinking wine and they're like, "You want to try some?"
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
We didn't get to that point.
And then I don't remember how old I was, but I remember thinking, this is strictly an adult thing. And my parents like laughing when I gagged at it. Crazy.
This is the opposite experience.
That's actually very abusive scenarios of them throwing wine at you.
Drink this, kid.
No, I was making the wine. I was stepping on the grapes. No.
I remember coming with my parents to life group meetings or Bible studies back then, whatever it was called. But as the kids, we had to go into a back room to be quiet. So we're in some random adult's house with whatever board games that they had available, which was like some 19 whatever version of Sorry, or the board is cracked, the pieces are missing, and we're like, okay, we got to be quiet back here and play a game.
Or watch Jesus of Nazareth and mourn.
What?
Remember at Marilyn Dotson's house?
No.
When we watched Jesus of Nazareth, and I was like a kid, and I had like this deep emotional experience.
And all the adults are in another room.
And they came in to check on me because I was like sobbing.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. It's too early for spiritual trauma.
Oh, man.
Well,
I think we've all had a little bit of that.
I don't know if you noticed it when you walked in today, probably because the smell of coffee you might not have, but I revisited my ramen last night.
Ooh.
After we talked about it, now it's all I want to eat. Less sodium, a little bit less of the powder.
Yeah.
But did you hear
it
about?
Does smell soy-like in here.
Yeah, it might be it. The ginger, the Sunday night is like when I'm getting all my editing done. And so I'm here at the house by myself. I'm like, I'm going to make some more ramen.
I do love ramen.
You did say on that podcast you'd make me some one day, so I'm still waiting for that.
Well, I also told you it takes half an hour, so whenever you have the time to commit. Yeah, but for one serving.
Oh.
We like to take our time, which is another theme we'll come back to in this episode. Before we do, I have a little quiz that's going to set us up for the Alice story today, okay? But this is to just get us ready. So these are just general Alice in Wonderland questions, no peeking. And I'm
trying not to look.
They're multiple choice, but I might give you a chance to answer on your own, okay? So it's quiz time, folks.
Awesome.
All right, here we go. Starting with an easy one
or something.
Nah, you guys are working as a team, unless you want to compete.
Ooh. No, let's do it
This
together.
take too long.
I'm competing.
All right, question number 1. What is the White Rabbit's catchphrase?
I'm late for a very important date.
That's right.
You're right. Yes.
I was going to say, who? What?
The other option.
That's Archimedes.
Last week. The other options were hippo, 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 or hurry up. But no, you're right. I'm late.
I'm late for a very important date.
Okay, question number 2. That's okay. We're going to select that. That's right. Reveal the answer. Yes, you're correct. Why does Alice shrink?
She eats
Little,
it's like bread or something.
it's a crumpet.
A communion wafer.
Okay, I'm gonna
A
I'm gonna give you 3 options here. Okay,
a biscuit.
it's once you hear these 3, you're gonna
Don't tell me it's a blue pill.
you're gonna be real confused. Option 1, because she is stepped on. Option 2,
Oh, wow.
because Batman makes her shrink.
What?
I don't know who wrote this quiz. Option
I'm
3,
assuming we're going to get this pretty easily.
because she drinks potion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
the
she drinks potion.
Yeah, she has a little bottle, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Oh, that's right.
Batman. Okay,
Drink this.
Reveal. Yes, you got that one right. Correct.
Okay.
All right. Question number 3. What is the Queen's full name?
Oh, my God.
Oh my gosh.
She has a name other than the red or white queen?
Yeah, the red one.
She does.
The Queen of Hearts.
Man, I thought you were going to guess like Anastasia something or other. Yes, the Queen of Hearts.
Oh, like Fiona de la Martine.
There's two parts. It's two individual books. Remember?
All right. What game does Alice play?
Chess.
When?
When
The whole thing is games.
The whole thing is
Okay,
Chess, yeah.
here, I'll give you a multiple choice because
Okay.
chess is not one of the answers.
Ooh.
Golf,
Oh, yeah.
football, or croquet.
Okay.
Okay.
Croquet.
You know that. It's
Yeah.
croquet. I guess
When
these
you
are all-
said golf, I was like, I was thinking close, but yeah.
Yeah, it was similar. You guys ever play croquet?
I think it's like a kid for like one of those rec days.
Yeah. It's something that seems to always exist when you're out in a field playing games.
Yeah.
And
Did you guys grow up in England or something?
And I was like, it's like not a real course. It's just like a couple.
little like archways that you stick into the ground.
Yeah.
You've never played that?
No.
And then you get like a little ferret and push it through. No.
A little ferret. Yeah. No, you guys. I grew up in the US of A.
Guys, where'd you put the crate full of groundhogs? We need to play
groundhog,
croquet.
not
No,
a
they
ferret.
were over the hamsters. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, guinea pig.
Every
I don't know.
time though,
Little
we
rat creature.
set up croquet, because I know there's a post and you start at one side
yeah.
and you got to get through them all and then get all the way back.
I've totally seen it before, but I've totally seen it on TV and never in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Random like kid events.
We've just had
Really?
events and we'll go and do
Were
it.
you guys on horses?
No.
That's polo. It's pretty much the same thing.
That would have been fun though.
It's not. So croquet is more complicated because first of all, I don't know what the posts are except you have to hit it at the end. And second, I'm trying to explain to my kids, well, if you miss it, you have to go back through the thing this
Oh, yeah.
direction. And I don't even know if I'm telling the right rules.
No, I don't know the rules.
You're just making it up.
Okay, well, that'll be next week, the rules of croquet. Question number 6. Which animal does Alice follow into Wonderland? Okay.
Oh,
Would you like
do
to?
we need the multiple
The
choice?
right rabbit.
The white rabbit.
rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Not
was like, is this a trick question?
It's like the Matrix. Follow the white rabbit.
Yep. How?
Cue the song.
I know, it was in my head. I almost sang it. How does Alice get into Wonderland?
She falls down a well.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
That's basically
pretty
it.
close.
I thought she fell through a hole in a tree.
It is. She falls down a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
With the Hobbit?
A hobbit hole.
The hole in the ground?
there's a hole in my tree. Okay, correct. We don't need these multiple choice. We're too good at this. Who wrote Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? Okay.
Oh gosh.
Don't
should I not-
Don't, because I know
answer?
you know the answer to this.
Do you really?
not know?
No.
What happened?
We talked about it last time,
Oh,
but
my
it was
God. We
not.
got all the way through
There
this
were so
Alice
many other
material.
Oh my gosh,
distractions.
yeah. So many other distractions. Yeah.
Okay, Kathy Cassidy,
What?
Lewis Carroll, or
Oh, yeah.
Jacqueline Wilson.
Lewis Carroll.
Kathy Cassidy. I want that as a drag name. Sorry.
Okay, question number 9. Who played the Mad Hatter in Tim Burton's film version
Oh,
of Alice's
yeah.
Adventures in Wonderland?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Sure, it wasn't Katy Perry because she's an option.
That'd be fun though
Wow.
too.
Lewis Walsh.
She can
Who's
pull it
Lewis-
off.
Who's Lewis Walsh?
I don't know who that is.
Probably married to
Related
Kathy
to Lewis
Cassidy.
Carroll?
Maybe. Okay, question 10. We are so good at this. What color dress does Alice wear?
In the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't specify, but I can give you options if you'd
Ooh.
like them. They're actually
some
two
white.
colors.
In the Disney, yeah, it's blue.
It's blue and white.
Yeah.
I
Blue with a white apron, right? Or something like that.
Whatever that is.
Blue
Looks like an
front
apron.
part, yeah.
I thought about that watching this. I'm like, is this like the style to wear an apron? It looks like an
And
apron.
it's in the show, in this crazy dumb show we watched, she's wearing yellow, isn't she?
I thought yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Is it
can't remember
yellow?
now actually either, but it does have a little apron-y thing in front.
It does, yeah.
maybe it's all based on your perception.
We're very
Oh my
non-observant.
gosh.
Yeah.
It was pink.
It was
I'm going to
pink.
say it was pinkish red.
There's so many colors.
It was
in
salmon. It was salmon.
Okay, we got to stop this
Coral.
tomfoolery. There's only one way we can do the intro for this, which I think is to reprise our little play acting. We're coming back to the director. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
Jimmy, I don't know if you remember our imaginative experiment.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So just follow my lead here. But Josue, are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Good morrow, sir.
Good motto.
Good morrow. As you know, part one
Yes.
of Alice in Wonderland, remember that we produced.
Great hit. Great hit.
With the turf and the bunny and all that.
Yes. Very low budget. Thank you very much.
Low budget and a smashing success.
Very good.
People loved it.
Loved it.
We're doing part two, and I have a representative here that I want to bring in.
Oh.
You know, we committed to two
Ooh,
parts.
What?
Yes. This representative is here on behalf of the Jabberwocky and Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Oh,
It's one of the three of them.
I'm intrigued.
I'm actually not sure which one it is. We'll find out in a second. They're asking us for a raise. They think that their part of the next part of this mini-series is so important that they deserve to be paid more. Why don't you come on in there, sir, or madam? Hi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Maximilian.
Oh, Maximilian, nice to meet you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Max.
I manage several high-profile clients,
Oh.
usually in the horror genre.
Oh, okay.
It's my specialty.
That's
Okay.
great. Okay, so who are you in this case representing?
The Jabberwocky.
Oh, the
And
Jabberwocky.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum and the creepy mosques on the beach.
Oh, okay.
Mollusks.
Mollusks.
I was like, how do you say that
Mollusks.
word? Whoops.
I think they're oysters.
Oh, so what
Whatever
is
they are.
the proposition?
Well, we noticed and stealthily planned for that cliffhanger at the end of the first part.
Yes, you
Sure.
did. You got me intrigued.
And what really got many of the young fans intrigued was the slight scariness of the Jabberwocky. And we know he's important to your story.
Yes. Are we going to play more on that?
We do want to do more spotlight on him and give him more abilities than in the first half.
Good.
Abilities?
Yes.
So you were saying that you wanted to be paid more.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your
Oh,
current salary?
yeah.
I can't remember, sir. What was his salary?
I think, wasn't I paying you 59 cents an hour?
59 cents.
Oh, yeah.
I think
yes.
they were pence.
Pence. I'm only getting 38. Where's the other part going?
Oh, they did not tell you?
is getting money off the top.
Your agent said that is what you want.
Uh-oh. I need to go talk to my agent.
I can say, sir, that we've already procured an alternate color of turf. You know, we had talked about putting a chessboard as the floor. So
Yes, you convinced me to pay more money, yeah.
that's been taken care of. Do we have room in the budget to pay both Tweedledee and
I
Tweedledum?
don't know. Maybe we get rid of other people.
I know who we can.
Who?
Ringo Starr.
Okay.
He was terrible.
Yes,
No, I don't care. He's not my client.
I agree.
Let's do it.
Okay, whatever you want. Go. Do it.
Bring the shrooms.
Yes. Where's
Jabberwockies
my bag of
unite.
psychedelics?
Listen, before we jump into just talking about this, I wanted to share with you guys a featured review that I found on IMDb
Oh,
for this two-part special.
by whom?
I don't know. Actually, I probably should have written down the person's name. That sounds like something that I should do, but I didn't. Okay, here's the title. The word to be Alice, slipping through the looking glass, to be the princess of our imaginations, ... ellipses. You ready?
Oh, this is just the title?
Oh my God.
I was like, this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Alice. I wanted to wear cute little dresses and shiny black patent leather shoes. I wanted to dance with a caterpillar and float down a river of my own tears.
What?
Double exclamation point.
Double.
Was this Johnny Depp? Did he say this?
This movie combines colors. Remember, this is talking about the TV special here.
Okay.
Colors, music, imagery, and a lively cast to create the perfect children's movie. It goes on. Every single cast member shown in their own light. Anne Gillian and Sammy Davis Jr. were my favorites.
What?
Double exclamation point.
Man.
can't imagine a film where the director spent more time focusing on the visual smorgasbord of colors and images. !
We're a lot of colors.
The songs were easy to sing to, and Alice presented a lovely little girl who just wanted to be grown up.
This feels like a publicist for the show.
I thought that too. It probably is. I hope that, this is the last part here, someday they replay this movie so that the children of the world can fall in love all over again with their imaginations.
Wow.
Anything they create today, anything they create tomorrow, all caps, will never even come close to the magic of this movie.
Never ever today.
This should be right up there with The Wizard of Oz in the children's movie section of your local video store.
God. I mean,
Delusional, deranged person.
Delulu. You'll find that there are things about this that I appreciate, but that's a little over the top.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In contrast to, I wrote these comments, actual comments that came from my family while we watched part 2.
Okay.
Your immediate family.
Yeah. Not you, dude. Dad, why did they make 2 parts?
Yeah.
John Stamos? What? That was just a comment that came out.
Who did they think was John Stamos?
He is in this.
Oh, what?
We'll get to it.
I'm trying to remember who he was.
He's Hathor. He's the assistant to the White King.
Oh, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Didn't even realize. Okay, another comment. This is weird. And then closely following after that, oysters? And shortly after that, what is happening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's another one. She's worse than Elaine at dancing. I think this was about Carol Channing.
No. Yeah.
Following comment, this is way better than the first part. And then there's more. But there was a lot going on.
Oh, it's a little more lively than the first part.
I couldn't convince anyone in my family to watch this.
They didn't watch it?
No.
Oh,
they were like,
nobody?
Are you kidding me? They were like, you're on your own on this one.
I will say,
right from the beginning,
things took a turn up in our house for part 2.
Okay.
But
I can see why.
Yeah, but I want to kind of set up, Jimmy, why we brought you in, because this made me laugh so much because we had done part 1, the episode came out, and I get a text from you that's like, commenting about the episode, and then like, I'm watching it. And I thought you meant the podcast. I thought he means listening or whatever. But you were actually watching.
I rewatched it.
You were somehow inspired to go back to this.
After the podcast, yeah.
After the podcast. Okay, we have a family history of this movie. Do you remember it growing up?
I do very much. Yeah.
But only part 2, right?
Yeah, I get you were the one that reminded me of that. I forgot that was only part of the story. But yeah, I watched the first one and definitely didn't remember as much.
I mean, that's so interesting.
The second part I have like cemented into my brain.
Yeah.
But we watched it a ton. And of course, I've seen the cartoon and know the story, but I've always been creeped out from it, which has never allowed me to engage much with it. It's just, all I remember is, it's creepy. I don't want to think about it. And I never got past that. But then the podcast was the first time I think somebody discussed some of the themes of it. And I was like, oh my God, this is way deeper than I thought. And then I applied on why I was so scared of it and the things that made me uncomfortable, and then started uncovering layers and layers and layers and realized there's a lot of depth in it. Yeah. And then I started to appreciate even that live version for what it was a little bit more for other reasons.
Oh my gosh. I wonder why you guys didn't watch the first part. I wonder if it was
we didn't have it.
You didn't have it.
Remember, we talked last time about
recording it on TV.
Yeah. That's all we had? Part 2 on VHS?
Somebody remembered enough to be like, I don't want to miss recording the second part.
I think they probably saw the first one was on and was like, we should record this, and then recorded part 2.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting to think that someone thought, let me record this. I was thinking maybe someone just saw it on TV that night and was like, Alice in Wonderland, and didn't realize what it was only one part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And this was so confusing to me because, and they even title it in the movie, Alice, it's like Through the Looking Glass, which is that the name of the book, the second book?
And I realized in the show they say that. They call it Looking Glass Land.
Yep.
So I was like, I wonder if that's why I always called it that.
And I remember always being very confused, especially any time in my life, not that it comes up that often, when I would try and talk about this, like, have you seen, because it was so significant in my mind.
Yeah.
Nobody, and I would try and be like, Alice in Looking Glass Land. That's what I used to call it.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's called. It was really confusing.
But right at the beginning of part 2, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
The owl.
Yeah. Owl. So this, again, we talked about this last time. 1985, a 2-part thing, straight to TV. So many casts of characters that are just famous. But we sat down to watch part 2, and already my family was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Like I have something else to do.
Yeah.
But it grabbed us on a different level. This one felt like it was less about famous people, because there were a lot of people that I recognized, okay, but not as many. And I felt like the quality took a little bit of a lift on this one.
I don't know if the quality took a lift. I think
okay, not the production.
production, yeah. Let's not get it twisted.
The cast.
I think the dialogue and the way it was written, so I did a little bit of research on Reddit, just what people were thinking about this and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The zeitgeist.
Apparently, the zeitgeist, the smallest zeitgeist you find. It's 2 books, and it's this
by Lewis Carroll.
Kathy Catcherson.
Kathy.
I forgot her name. Sorry.
I already don't remember either.
Cassidy.
Oh.
And people were saying how the first part is what we touched on, right? Adults and kids and what you're not allowed to do, what you are, your imagination. And then the second part is the maturing and growing up. So things have to get a little more, I guess, more realistic, not as crazy. Or you got to leave behind some of your imagination and grow up.
I don't know. There was still some weird stuff.
There were, but it made more sense as hey, if you want to grow up, you got to move towards these other things, And so it was a little more grounded, but the quality was still,
Oh my God.
I
did not actually say the word for all the you listeners.
I don't believe it. He's swearing. Yeah. So this one, though, I recognized that there were no psychedelics involved. There was no, I'm eating a cake, I'm drinking a potion.
Oh, you mean for the actual,
hookah,
yes.
And the whole thing.
The writers were still on it, though, yes.
Cake. Oh, completely.
The producers were still on it.
Yeah, but Alice didn't eat the plum cake, right?
No.
So this whole thing to me felt like I'm coming down off of a high.
Yeah.
And now all this craziness is actually getting more solidified into what this has been all about from the start.
And at the end, you only see it in the mirror.
Yeah, because she's in the middle of the story. So she's already there.
She's already there.
Picking up from that.
And the themes, if you watch it with these themes in mind, because like you said, then coming back to it and actually thinking about what you're watching, because I remember as a kid going, why are these people so mean? Why is this happening? And I identified with the kid.
Yeah.
But as an adult, if I go, okay.
And the writing is really targeted.
But you see the repeated theme of one, Alice is not being heard. Right from the start. The chess pieces, and can you hear me? That happens multiple times where people just don't hear her, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, facing your fears.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
It's all about facing your fear. So,
it is, yeah.
And I'm I watched this through thinking, I got to the end, what is fear? Why did this is such a thing? You get that owl character that pops in.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is very near the start. She's Jabberwocky, knocks over the chess pieces. Carol Channing does her thing. And then nobody can hear her, but then the owl painting comes to life.
Yeah.
And this is our new Cheshire Cat. So
oh gosh, yeah.
He's way...
Is it played by the same character?
No,
same actor?
Not Telly Savalas.
Okay. Oh my gosh, because it felt very, very similar.
So I don't know if
they meant it to be.
It's like this in the book, but he sets up oh, Alice, you got to face your fear, and we're all at the mercy of your fear. I'm why does it keep leaning into fear? But I thought, oh, okay, if you watch back and you're thinking through the theme of fear and what Alice is facing and growing up, I want what adults have, but I have to get past where I am right now. And that was a third theme that I saw is she's so eager to just skip past everything and get to the adult that she's not experiencing now.
Yeah.
And that was it. That way the owl's the only way for her to get past the owl is for her to agree to sit there for 3 years or whatever he said talking. And she's
for a little bit.
Yeah, she's okay, I'll go ahead and stay. And then he's all right, I'm going. Because it's Looking Glass Land and everything's opposite.
Which, by the way, for Alice in Wonderland being one of the first references to some sort of multiverse. That was one thought I had.
Wow.
I was I wonder if Lewis Carroll...
They were ahead of their time.
This is early 19th century, or mid 19th century.
What were the references that you feel really leaned into the multiverse?
Well, just the fact that here everything is different. That whole thing of it's opposite. And then when she looked through the mirror, the things were on it was a mirror image.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time,
she thought she was in her house, but not.
Yeah, she found things that thought were the same and they did wrong, the opposite thing. Yeah, the whole idea I thought was oh, this is it made me want to go back and see what earlier renditions pre-MCU.
You know, it's funny though. You know that part where the chess pieces can't hear her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought,
baby.
I thought,
Baby's abnormally large.
oh my gosh, I know. I thought that they were just carrying over the theme of like her parents couldn't hear her and see her. I thought they were just carrying that over.
Yeah, well, it is kind of that.
And then it was just that she was in the looking glass, but her parents were still there, but not there. That was kind of weird.
I feel the same way. Like just in like the first one, you have that chef or whatever, and the shaking the baby and whatever. And now she's again like, here's another baby that needs to be taken care of. I'm not being heard. I'm trying to contribute. I can't. It just felt very similar to me. A lot of these scene beats, like you get to the gnat or whatever he is, and I'm like, oh, this feels like it's like the caterpillar, but now it's a gnat. Or a lot of the things are similar. It felt like to me.
Weird.
My bad. Carol Channing, though.
Yeah. Oh my
she
gosh.
was great.
That was one of the consensus I saw online was people loved her. And
Just my favorite part.
She was, like she stole the scene, every scene she was in or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Early
her
on.
musical performances.
Yeah.
My favorite.
We'll get to it. I do want to talk about that. So Alice skips through that flower garden, which I also remember as a kid going, why is Sally Struthers, I didn't know who she was, so
right.
mean. She's like, you dummy, you're an idiot, or you're like, you're the worst. And
well, that's how some people think kids are. People think kids are dumb idiots.
yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, here
that's
we are
messed up.
again. And if people haven't heard, obviously we have a whole episode on the first half of this, so that theme came up a lot. And then, okay, this is what I wanted to point out. There are very obvious commercial breaks in this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It like cuts, and then the music
Fades to black.
in and out feels very much like an 80s sitcom where it's like strings. And I'm like, is this an episode of Family Matters? Which she hops on the train.
That's right.
And did you notice the goat is Patrick Duffy?
No, I
Yes.
did not notice that.
I didn't notice that.
He's
either.
the dad from Step
How
by
could
Step. He's
anybody
also
notice that?
Wow.
She almost spoiled my lunch.
Oh, the goat.
She ate, yeah,
I
he
have a
ate
note
the
that
trash
just says
bag.
scary goat.
That's
That's
Patrick.
one of the part that stands out. from the
Patrick
whole movie
Duffy.
to me.
What was so scary?
I don't know, with like that little train car scene.
It is.
And now that I've gone back, of course, I've identified like 5 themes.
Oh, really?
But the goat, I think also the goat is just like an emblem of whenever we saw like satanic things growing up in church.
It was always a goat.
Oh,
It
so
was
it's
like a
goat
little
head.
goat altar or something, and he
Oh,
looked
gosh.
like, and he was mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the train, I was going to say conductor, ticket.
Yes.
Oh, they were all something too. He was a goat. Mr. Miyagi was.
Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita
He was a horse.
He was just a newspaper.
Right?
His newspaper guy. The
And the
conductor-
newspaper guy. What was up with that? There was 2 animals in newspaper. What was the theme there?
Well, I mean, I don't know
newspaper
about
down
who
for their
they
mess?
were. One of the things that really stood out right away was that fear, maybe as a kid, especially as a kid, but even now, when someone's in authority and you're like, you don't think they should be there, or like you're concerned about who's in authority, but as a kid, you obviously can't say anything.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what it reminded me of like, there's so many instances in church, school, I don't know, whoever, wherever, where you were like, I don't like that this person's running things, but you don't really think, you're not evaluating it as a kid. You're just thinking who you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of that. And then
Oh
the
my
whole
gosh.
runaway train.
Oh,
But then they're all like joking, and then their jokes aren't even funny, and they won't listen to her, and they keep telling her that she's like the crazy one. It was like the whole thing was like,
Yeah.
okay, yo, get out of here.
It is.
Yeah, it did kind of remind me of like times when you're around people and they all have inside jokes for themselves, and you're the new person. And they're making you feel left out. I don't know if that's happened to me a few times as a kid.
Well, I also thought I think they'll play through a lot of this into Alice's little girl is like guys that think that they're funny. And they're like, they think that they're clever and they're really not. And she's just like, what is wrong with you all?
Yeah.
And then she actually comes up, like she actually makes a real funny joke, like a better one. She's
Oh,
like,
he goes to write it down? Is that the one?
When she's
like, I need to write that down.
She's like, well, maybe I would think it's funny. Like if it were an actual joke or something, and she kind of like, gets back, and they don't even get it.
It's like that's so funny. I forgot to laugh type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing all those characters there though, because I don't know how they got Mr. Miyagi to be in there. And then Steve Allen, who plays the guy in the paper suit. And even the train conductor, I think, is somebody.
We kind of made fun of it of like they have a low budget for this, right? But at the same time, they must have had a huge budget to pay these actors to be there.
And the costumes and makeup.
And yeah, exactly. So it was like a crazy big budget for something like this.
So she gets off this creepy train to nowhere. She's trying to get to the fourth square.
Pulls his beard.
The fourth square.
So we didn't mention she met the Red Queen.
That's
and the
right.
Red Queen is basically setting up, you're a pawn, you need to become a queen. These are all themes of like, you got to get here because you got to go here before you can go back.
Yeah, but in chess, if you're a pawn and you get to the end, you don't get a queen.
You do.
An extra queen if you lost your queen.
Pick a piece.
You can get a second queen.
A second
Oh, a
queen?
second queen?
Yep.
Stop it.
We have a wooden
All right,
chest that
Ezra,
the
new
kids
rule.
were,
I don't think I knew that ever.
playing while we watch this. And like, we have an
What?
extra queen just for that.
Are you kidding me?
Again, this is like
My kid doesn't
croquet.
know this.
So I might just be making up these rules.
I think you are. Yeah.
So the queen tells her, okay, in order to become a queen, you have to get to the 8th square. You get a visual, which I remember as a kid going like, oh, you see the rolling hills with the chess pieces. So she's trying to get there. So she hops on this train trying to get to the 4th square. I can't remember why. And she pulls Patrick Duffy's beard to stop the train.
Well, because the Red Queen says something about get to the 4th square and I'll come and measure something, whatever. I don't know.
And by the
So
way,
dumb. And they never came back around to that.
talk about no budget or whatever, or budget put towards characters and not other things.
Yeah.
The running effects in
Oh,
this,
gosh.
which she's like, we have to go.
I don't know. I'm thinking the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch. Yeah.
She
Same
runs. She's got to run so fast, which this is like a bad dream, and she gets nowhere. And Alice is flying behind her, but the background is you have to see.
Well,
it.
that is
so
like
crazy.
again like another huge theme I think about. We're all pawns in life, and who knows who's controlling us.
Yeah.
And like you can run as hard as you can, and you won't get anywhere. Which I think is also a commentary on women in society. They're intense.
It's like a double.
Like you have to work extra hard
Women
to get
and
not
children.
that far.
I wish
Oh my
I
gosh.
wish I had time for like editing more reels of this, because what I want is Jimmy's observations just in like 20-second snippets with some music in the background as he says, you know what this is really about.
Can I just talk about my personal experience with the Queens?
Please.
I noticed like as a kid too, and watching it now, that to me, I could always go to like a female or a woman to have someone hear me or make sense of things for me, or to have a reasonable response. And so that was my natural thing. So it was scarier for me. And this was like the Red Queen and even the White Queen when she kind of lost it a little bit. But like anytime the Queen comes in, oh, thank God, like somebody's going to help her. But they still didn't help.
Really didn't help.
So for like me, it was like extra worse too. Cause I'm like, because it was clearly a stereotype of just some experiences I've probably had with men versus women. But I'm like, I'm always hopeful. The queens to me were like the beacon of like, oh, finally, this is a competent person to help.
Yeah.
And then they still weren't. So I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. But all these characters, and especially those two queens, have these back and forth of, I'm nice, I'm mean, I'm an authority figure, I'm sweet. And you get
But
that.
only if she like falls in line too. Like you have to act this way. You have to say, be manners. You have to, the speak before spoken to.
That came up a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't speak until you're spoken to a lot.
Then you would never speak. Ever.
Which she's right.
Yeah.
But again,
And again, how these things mean nothing. Like you just want me to look feminine or like to look like I'm somewhere when it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
again, Alice can't be heard. And so, though, she gets off this terrifying train and she meets the Gnat.
Nat.
Hello.
Gross.
Yeah. I liked him. Hello. He was such a sweet little
pass. Other than that.
You don't want to go that way. I warned you. She's talking to him like, oh, she's being really polite. And he's like, oh, what kind of insects do you like where you're from? And she's like, well, we don't really like any insects. And you're like, oh, poor Nat. He's I don't know. I thought he was a nice little guy.
Just like every gnats are these little annoying bugs. No one likes gnats. She's just portraying that.
Hello.
Oh my God.
So
why did he say, don't go that way? There was no other option.
Well,
she had to
the
go.
whole forest. We know they only have one set.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. They have another set because she goes to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, which I want to hear your perspective on this. And they go to the beach.
How do they even get? They must have flown them to somewhere else.
I don't know. But if they were at the MGM lot, I guess the beach had to be nearby.
Ugh. But that was a nasty looking beach.
I liked, okay, so again, difference between the first movie and this one. The first movie, remember, their first song was I Hate Cats or whatever. I'm like, why is this? But this one, you hit Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Think what you will about the characters. How do you do? Shake hands. I'm like, oh, but these guys can sing. It's not my favorite song.
Yeah.
It's better than the first song.
Yes.
No, you didn't like
They
it.
seem kind of friendly. I didn't get too much deep meaning from these parts because they're my least favorite scene of the whole. Well, not the two, but the whole beach scene. I'm like, this is annoying. And
Yeah.
it still is. I remember even as a kid being bored for some reason, and now still I'm like,
Yeah, even
They
like
could have left that out for real.
why is that? And I guess that's in the cartoon too. There's the walrus scene there, so maybe it's iconic Alice, so they included
maybe
it.
it's only in the extended edition.
I don't know what the meaning is behind this, but it's like adults like to eat nasty things like oysters. I don't know.
Well,
I like oysters.
Yeah.
I guess I'm an adult.
So after all the fat suit dancing and they get onto the beach, right?
Fat suit dancing.
They, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, they're like that. They're pretty
Oh, and it
dexterous.
is kind of creepy though, because they talk about eating. Don't they talk about eating them?
Yeah.
And they're like humans. Maybe
Well, that's the whole thing. So again, Alice is trying to get out of there. She's like,
Yeah.
I got to get to the four squares.
story.
And they're like, let me tell you the longest poem I can recite. That was their whole point.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so they go into this whole thing about the walrus and the carpenter, which it must be.
He didn't look like a carpenter to me. He looked like a chef.
Yeah. I don't get it. I'm sure there's a reason why. But that walrus, I don't know, a little
Gross
terrifying,
looking.
gross, had the cheek stuff with the tusks. And I remember as a kid thinking, that seems like a terrible thing to wear in the water. With this like 3-piece suit that looks like it's made out of velvet. And
Yeah, why did
mittens.
they dress him up like that?
Of all the costumes in this movie, how do you feel like that one rates?
Oh, that was the best one. The best, worst one.
I don't rate it.
I refuse to
Out of the
participate.
range. Yeah.
I wonder if that actor still owns that suit. He's like, I'm going to keep this.
I got it on my
40
shelf.
years ago. Poor guy. He's alive.
Gather around, great grandchildren. Let me show you in my heyday. He pulls out his tusks. No, Grandpa, no. We just wanted some M&Ms. But I did notice in this one, and we skip back to see it, that there's a little blip where you're watching when the walrus is first coming out of the water and the carpenter, that there's a guy from the set that just pops in and then runs back out. He gets in the shot.
I saw that. Yeah,
and he runs back. I'm like, was that an oyster?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a random guy running in and out. And then I do remember as a kid going, what? He ate them all? Like I remember feeling like Alice felt. Like he ate all the dancing oysters.
Yeah.
So for anybody who hasn't seen this, the oysters have shells on them. They're just giant shells with legs. And they're all these like sweet ladies basically that doing this dance. And the oyster and the carpenter just want to eat them.
I think it's creepy because it again has like those misogyny tinges. Like they're out there being feminine, then they're getting devoured by this nasty, like weird man. I'm like, it's creepy.
God.
Next scene.
Very predatorial. Are you kidding me?
So
I'm telling you, there's layers in all of these things.
Alice runs, and then we hit another dramatic sitcom commercial break where it's like, and then do you remember what's next? So we come to Carol Channing.
Yes, before the gathering.
Yeah, this is the very first time where she's got her whole problem with her shawl.
That's right. She sees it. Does it fall?
It's blowing in the
It's
wind.
blowing in the wind. Yeah.
Alice catches it and she needs it. And this is the first, maybe the second, if you include the nap, but you guys didn't like him, character where I'm like, oh, I like this person.
Yes, I had a thought about her too, where also a theme throughout, I guess, where again, I like the White Queen and she's more comforting than the Red Queen. But it does give those vibes of like when there's a grown up in the room again, back to the authority figure where you don't feel like they know what they're doing and you're required as the kid to like
Go along with it?
it's like to kind of take control,
Oh.
like to take care of them because you know they're kind of a little emotionally out of it or not present. And that's kind of what that reminded me too. Because she's like pricking her finger. She can't find her stuff. And then she like falls asleep on her lap. Like, she's just
Later,
Alice is like taking care of her.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that too, where again, Alex is clearly Alice is clearly the
Jimmy's putting himself in the movie. He's Alex.
sanest. She's the sanest one. And then they're all,
Another reverse thing where like you said, she pricks her finger, she's bleeding. And her reaction, I can't, her scream.
I have more on that later when the Jabberwocky comes down.
That actress, man.
But then she has to prick her finger in order for the bleeding to stop. And this is, again, Alice just trying to get grips on what's going on in this pseudo, universe, like you said. Okay.
Yeah.
But then comes maybe the best song in all this movie.
Yes.
And I texted you and our sister, Jennifer, because I'm like, guys, here, I had a video of Justice dancing.
Oh my God.
And he's the only one that kept dancing because honestly, he had
Hair
already
flips.
gone through the whole thing once. My family loved this song.
Really?
Jam tomorrow, jam yesterday, but never ever jam
To
today.
be fair, I think not just the writing was great, but I think it's the performance. Like it's so fun.
Yes.
Her voice is fun and the way she performs it brings it to life. So I think even as a kid, that's probably why we remembered it, because it's just like this drama scene.
Yeah. Do you know all the words she says in the verses? Amanda thought she was just singing gibberish, so I looked it up and there are actual words, but we all decided it's better if you don't know the words.
Yeah.
What is
What is it?
it doesn't matter. And everybody's just dancing in our house.
And the hair flips.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And the lipstick.
Yeah. She's great. Wow.
Have
Crazy.
you guys seen Carol Channing in anything else?
There's this like one scene or whatever. She's in a plane with somebody and she's like, raspberries. That's the only thing I know her from.
Yeah, I ended up looking up too because I'm like, she's wonderful. What else is she in? And I don't remember seeing much else.
I know her name, but yeah, I don't know what she's in.
I know I've seen her in something else because the as soon as I heard her voice, I was like, man, I know this lady from other stuff. Her voice is so iconic.
Is this still the scene where she falls asleep in her lap?
No, that's a different one.
That's this one almost at the end.
Yeah, after the jam song.
Oh, the goat.
She turns into a sheep.
Yeah, she turns into a sheep. Yeah. She's like, really?
I forgot about that until it happened. Because I'm like, oh, thank God someone's saying. I'm like, oh no, not you too.
Yeah, and Alice's face right away, she's like, what? What's wrong with you?
Yes, this was like in the first part where she saved that little baby, and then the innocent little baby turns into a pig. You know, it's like, oh no, this person that was like the nicest person I met, and I was having a good time dancing.
This is like when you're tripping, you're coming down, and you think, oh, I'm okay. This person's fine, and then all of a sudden it hits again a little bit, and you're like, oh, I've been talking to a sheep this entire time. I didn't even know I'm so high.
To me at least once a week.
I was going to say, I was speaking from experience here. And then she's running through the haunted forest. Bum, 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 bum. And there's that vulture.
Oh, that's right.
Again, another terrible running effect as she's going through the forest trying to duck from this random.
It was like Willy Wonka in the tunnel vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did
I
feel
will
like that.
say the one thing I did appreciate was somebody actually put thought into like the hawk flies over you. You see the shadow go over, and then just a few split seconds, just like it would, then the wind comes. Because the wind wouldn't come matched up with the shadow of the hawk.
I didn't know.
Biggest observation.
It would go right past first, and then the gust of wind would come. At least someone was like, hold on.
It's the zoologist.
I know when to turn the fan on.
We're all like, what are the themes they're saying here when they're talking about Jam Tomorrow and Josue's still on the production
The hawk
quality?
shadow.
I'm insulted by the production quality, honestly.
It was really bad. I don't know. I don't know if I believe they actually thought that through, but I'm glad it worked.
It was
out.
probably a mistake,
Yeah.
but they got it right. At least one thing.
The guy sat back there like, wind, and then come on, Henry. And he's like late every time. Like we're just keeping
Alice
it.
is surprisingly put together still for all of this nonsense. Her dress is clean. Her hair is still
No, it's a wig.
well still in place.
So she runs from there. And again, I feel this from childhood, terrifying, right to Humpty Dumpty, who is the worst.
He's a jerk.
I mean, there is worse.
Yeah. My name is Alice, sir. That's a stupid name.
Yeah. Who
Oh,
does
is he
that?
the one? He was the one that said some people have no more sense than a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
again.
She's so nice to him and he's so mean.
Well, it just reminded me of where's that line that every accusation is a confession? Like when people, and the whole time they're all calling her stupid and whatever. And I'm like, they're really revealing I'm like, that's rich coming from Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
Literally your name.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, I feel like the same lesson of like, they're just accusing her and she's busy defending herself when he's really the idiot here.
And but again, this feels like a symbol of what she must be experiencing in her life because she's working so hard to be polite and being genuinely nice. Like, oh, what a beautiful belt you have. And he's like, oh, really? Who can't tell the difference between a belt and a cravat?
Yeah.
You idiot, or whatever.
So crazy. And then like this is another what, a fairy tale or whatever, lullaby tale, whatever you call this, in another fairy tale.
Yep. It's pulling this and I guess probably that's what Lewis
Inception?
Carroll did. Is this
Inception.
I'm going to ask a question I don't know the answer to. Is this the first instance where Humpty Dumpty is visualized as an egg?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because in the original, it never says he's an egg.
But he
Except to read
breaks.
the book now anyway.
Yeah, he
But
falls.
he breaks.
Yeah.
An eggs break? Ex-crack?
You can't put them back together.
Nope. Because there's yolk.
All the king's horses and all the king's men.
Yeah, but the first
They're
time
just
they put it
trampling
back,
on the yolk and the.
I mean, there's no way a horse is going to put an egg together anyway.
but the first time they put it back together, don't they?
Oh, I don't know.
The
I was
first
just
time.
reciting the poem.
Oh no, maybe I'm
Oh,
thinking.
in the rhyme?
Yeah, maybe
In the
there's only.
rhyme?
Yeah, wasn't there?
Oh, maybe I
happened
forget.
twice?
I don't know.
Well, write in, guys. That'll be next week's Closing the Loop.
Yep.
Does Humpty Dumpty ever get put back together?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, but I didn't know as a kid what this conversation was about. And I still don't know. Where he's talking about words and the meaning of words and adjectives and adverbs. And I'm like,
Jimmy?
Oh, I don't know. I was trying to remember if it even had. I feel like, again, it's him just trying to show off like he is smart or something when it's nonsense.
and she's like, oh, what does this word actually mean? And he's like, finally like, okay, now you're meeting me on my level where I wanted you to. So let me tell you all the stuff that I know.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And then the Jabberwocky comes back. She's like, well, I am afraid. And my fears are, oh no, I've brought back the Jabberwocky. And then she's responsible for him getting knocked off the wall.
What'd she get afraid of?
I don't know.
It just started to come in.
Her fear just came back.
I guess that's the drugs talking again.
Well, if it is in line with a lot of other stuff, I feel like these people are the ones causing the fear. It's like an insecurity that they're causing in her. That's not
And
real.
it just keeps coming up.
They just keep talking bad to her, and she's met with all these awful experiences.
She's like, maybe I am stupid. Maybe I am an idiot. Because
It's
the
her
adults are
anxiety.
telling me that.
It's her anxiety rising up.
Yeah.
She literally says, because he calls her stupid, she's like, well, I'm stupid, but I don't think you should be dancing on a wall. Like she says something like that.
Yeah.
You know what else
And
reminded
he
me
does fall. The Jabberwocky pushes him over.
Yeah, I'm glad.
of? Reminded me of this all the way to the end is of Victor from Umbrella Academy.
Mhm.
You know how they're like they all like they're the ones that cause it, like all the siblings.
Every
like they're
time.
so awful to him that's why Victor like explodes. And Alice is like they're so awful to her that she gets to the point of like anxiety and freak out that the Jabberwocky comes and attacks them all. So it's like their own
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah,
Wow.
They've created the monster themselves.
yeah, they're blaming her, but it's their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave her alone. Somebody be nice to her.
I do remember her running into that spider web and that being terrifying as a kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shelob.
Yeah, the Jabberwocky chase scenes are gross. And that there's like a tarantula climbing
Yeah,
down
there
it.
is, yeah.
A real tarantula.
Reminded me of like Frodo running into the spider web.
that's
Yeah.
And then commercial break.
And Emmett Mule.
And then we're running again. So we pick right back up and then she runs. So you get another back and forth, hot and cold, scary, sweet. We go right to the White King. She runs out of the scary forest.
He was nice. Was he nice?
He was one of our family's favorite characters where he's like with Hayor, his guy.
With the cake or before the cake?
This is before the cake,
Okay.
right? When she originally shows up and he's waiting for his messenger. He's like,
Oh,
look
yeah,
down
yeah,
the
yeah.
road and see
That's
if you
right.
can see my two messengers. And he's talking about the lion and
He's
the
kind of a
unicorn.
jerk to that guy. What's his name?
John
Heor?
Stamos.
Yeah, John Stamos.
Hayor. Well, when he's like whispering it in my ear or whatever, and he yells and he's like, you frightened me. Or when he slaps him in the face.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, that whole scene got a lot of like laughs in our house. Everyone liked that a lot. And then the lion and the unicorn. The
that's
lion and the unicorn, And again, she wants to
For the
leave.
throne?
And,
the crown.
Yeah, and
Battle
they're
for the
dragging her on.
Yeah. I did have a note of complimenting the unicorn's makeup. I thought it was like some of the best costumes and outfits.
The unicorn is Bo Bridges.
Oh,
Bo Bridges, Bo Bridges?
that sounds familiar. I know
Okay.
who she is. I know who she is.
She.
Oh,
Bo
he.
Bridges?
Oh,
I
it's
don't
he.
know Bo
Sorry.
Bridges.
Yeah, okay, well, Bo
Then I don't
Bridges' father is Lloyd Bridges, who is the guy in Naked Gun. Lloyd Bridges. The
Oh,
old,
wow.
Yes, I know of
he
it.
is the White Knight with the mustache.
Oh, dang.
Yep.
His
yep.
son is the unicorn?
Yep. You guys
Wow.
keep discussing the
crazy.
lion and the unicorn. I'm going to look up his face just so you can see it and you're going to be like,
reminded
oh,
me
yeah.
of, even as a kid, is walking up to that scene was Narnia, when the kids walk up on Aslan's camp.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all like a mix of animals.
It
and
is.
stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Bo Bridges
Is that the unicorn?
Wow.
is the unicorn.
Is Jeff Bridges his brother?
Brother.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I like the unicorn.
He was great.
Yeah.
And
I
his-
just thought the makeup was very impressive.
If we want to say great in the sentence of this movie, yeah.
the
it's fine.
sentence of this movie. That's a well.
It's pretty
well
great,
put.
Josue.
Yeah. in the same, put it in the same sentence as this movie. This, if you want to call this great.
Are you vegetable or mineral?
Yeah.
Lucy's like, are they playing 20 questions? What's happening?
So crazy.
Which then gets us to the cake, though, which was, I love that cake. I think it looks good.
The one that she couldn't cut.
When she presses
Because
the knife into it, though,
you have to
and
pass it out first before you cut it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you notice the lady that hands it to her, the sweet lady with the cake? And she's like, be careful, because if you drop it, the lion will eat you.
Oh my gosh. I won't eat her yet.
There's a lot of cannibalism.
I know.
You don't know how to serve looking glass cake?
I guess it's not a cannibal if he's a lion, technically.
Yeah.
But
You pass it round first.
Did they? So now I want to say that actress, the one who passes her the cake, did they just get her off the street and she's the only one not tripping on something? Because she looked like confused, like, what am I doing here?
Like lucid.
Yeah, she looked lucid, like, this is insane.
She's
What did
too
I just?
aware.
What did I just agree to?
Is it?
Some of the close-ups or like the shots where she's just standing there, her face looks perplexed.
Yeah.
She looked like me watching
She's
this.
the director's daughter that like they needed somebody to fill this role and she was not qualified. And she's like, okay, what's my line? Okay.
Yeah, she looked really like, what in the world is all of this?
I was going to say, is this a theory or a movie? And I think it was the latest Doctor Strange where they're saying every time you're dreaming, you're actually in another, talk about multiverse
yes,
universe.
that's also a personal background of mine.
What do you mean?
When you're dreaming.
In my dreams, I just feel like I'm in like a really real place, just somewhere else.
So I almost feel like all of these crazies they're all just dreaming somewhere and landed in this place.
They've met.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because you notice like the scene changes and the people in and out are so like boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh, I'm waking up. I'm having my day. Oh, I'm back. Oh, it's the White King again. He's back.
Yeah, and the
Gosh. Cut the cake after. So she gets this knife handed to her that is probably because of, whatever the rules were around
Looks like
children and weaponry.
The dullest knife you can ever find. Yeah.
We should have used that for the test kitchen.
Yeah.
And she hands it to her. She keeps trying to cut it. Yeah, it keeps coming together. So she has to pass it around first.
That little press into the cake makes it look so good, though.
It's very satisfying. Yeah, the little knife into the cake. You didn't feel like that?
No.
It looks so good.
I'm watching this going, this is so terrible.
You were watching it at 2x speed. That's why.
It's because you've come with prejudices
Not that part.
before you got.
Yeah. Well, because I'm watching this as an adult. There's no like.
And what were we watching it as?
You guys have some nostalgia involved with this. That's why.
Okay, but I think at watching this 2x speed, you are unlearning the lesson that Alice had to learn, which is quit trying to fast forward your experience.
I only 2x
Rest in
speed
it.
in
It's
the
about the
middle
journey.
of stuff.
Not the destination.
Journey.
I like that cake bit, the plum
But then no one
cake.
got to eat it.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
like one of
plum
those
cake.
stories.
That's what I
where,
thought
like,
at
Well,
first.
then they go to pass it around.
And the music.
And if you notice, because the drums start and she's like
Yeah.
trying to talk something,
What
but
is
the
that?
unicorn is trying to cut the cake with his
I
horn.
saw that. I just noticed that for the first time. I'm like, what's he doing with the cake?
He's trying to cut it with his horn.
And then it like cut out.
That's what I thought at first. Was like, this cake looks really unappealing because it was plum cake. And it just felt really like they didn't put frosting on it. They didn't do anything.
It's
It looked
powdered
fluffy.
sugar.
It looked, fluffy.
Yeah. So after they said it was plum cake, I'm like, oh, okay. It's
I don't think I've
supposed to
had
look
plum cake.
that color.
Mm-hmm.
And she only cut it in half once.
Yeah, she left it to them.
Yeah. And they were like with their hooves, trying to hold it with their hooves. Like
The lion's piece is twice as big as mine.
twice as
You should have
big.
been on the stage production.
Yeah.
So that character, though, reminded me of somebody else, and I still can't put my finger on it. The only character I can comes to my mind is that crazy guy at the beginning of Three Musketeers who's fighting for his sister's honor.
Oh.
They kind of look similar, but the way he acts.
The lion?
The unicorn.
Oh, the unicorn.
Maybe because it's Beau Bridges. The lion is Ernest Borgnine, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I remember
Who's
that.
that? Where is he
I remember
from?
that guy.
I mostly just know his name, as with all of these characters.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
I'm like, Mr. Miyagi, I knew, but
How many of these actors are still with us today?
Yeah, what's Alice up to?
Yeah, exactly.
I bet she hasn't done a thing.
She was a
since
pretty good
this.
actress.
Yeah, I don't know.
She kept a straight face.
But if you look around, she's probably traumatized. There's more of those scary birds. Remember the jury, the last one? These
Oh, that's
creepy
right.
characters
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
background are all there in this one.
Oh no.
And so all this loud noise is happening. She's running out of there, doesn't know where she's going. And she then comes into the middle of a battlefield between the red and the white knight.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're kind of playing out this chess thing. But again, so now that white knight is Lloyd Bridges, which is the father of the unicorn in real life.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, did you get your son a part in this? I don't know.
Oh, man,
But
probably.
he's another one of my like favorite characters in this, I think, because he feels like a safer space.
Yeah, he's the only like trustworthy one.
Because he's a knight.
Well, actually, I was thinking again. I think
And
of
he's
lessons.
He's white.
Oh my god!
What are we saying here, people?
Here we go.
The white queen, the white knight,
There were no dark colors.
Sammy Davis Jr.
He was a caterpillar.
There was a black queen and a black knight
There's no black queen.
at the banquet at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She wasn't
the-
black, but she was wearing black.
No, I didn't see someone wearing black. Okay,
In the first one.
You're going to have to watch it
You know,
again.
because the suit, the suit is, there's only red or black suits in a deck of cards. So there's a black queen,
I
there's a
remember
red
Well, I
queen.
guess she just didn't have any stage time.
It was like white and black.
But I was thinking how common it is for the leaders, like the kings and queens, to be the least trustworthy, and it's usually the people on like the front line that you can trust.
Mm.
Like it's not.
Maximus.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I think that's a character pattern, and maybe sometimes reality, but a pattern in like most things of like
I would agree with that.
the agent on the front line,
Mhm.
the law enforcement officer, the attorney, the prosecutor. That's
James Bond.
the nurse, in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's always like the knight.
I feel that. So anyway, they're fighting with these unconvincing weapons again. They're just hacking at each other with these lances. I don't know why. And then they pulled out the dullest of swords.
Well, they don't hurt anybody.
No,
Ew.
but it was just really funny to me. I mean, the oysters looked more realistic than their swords did.
Ugh,
Wow.
oysters.
But his mustache is on point. That white handlebar.
I mean, it just looked like very fake though.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was huge.
It was
It
huge.
dramatic.
But that whole "We Are Dancing" bit, she's
Go
dancing
bigger,
with
go
him.
bigger.
Oh, that was a sweet
Go
song.
home.
I wrote down the word "oh."
Yeah, that was a good one. I thought that was nice. Well, because after all that she's been through,
And we are dancing.
I like that song too.
But Lucy's like, where'd all the smoke come from? They're like dancing in the fog, and I don't know why that was a thing, but it set the mood, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's basically dancing her to the edge of the forest. But in the actual production, they're just moving around
To the 8th square.
in about the space of this studio.
Wow.
It's like, okay, we're gonna dance. Here
oh
we
my
are.
gosh.
She gets to the 8th square. We feel like, okay, we're at the end of the movie. She gets a crown. And as a kid, it bugged me that this is not a white crown or a red crown. What does this even signify? But it doesn't matter. She has a little scepter and a crown.
Yep.
Nobody else cares about that.
As a
like
kid, I was
gold
definitely unaware.
Yeah, it was like golden beige crown or something. She's sitting there by herself, and then the two queens just pop up, right?
Yes,
come up.
but she's in like play acting like I'm a queen now. So again,
That's
it's
right.
a theme of growing up.
She owned it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, she's been waiting to be given the authority to be at the tea table, right? To be an adult.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
oh, I've arrived. So now I'm going to play the role of being a queen. And of course, she's still only a 7.5-year-old girl or whatever she is. But yeah, they pop up and they're upset at her about like not having right manners. You're speaking too soon.
Yeah.
And then they go into this whole bit about mathematics, which I feel like is like, okay, you're a kid and you want to be an adult, but here's 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 12 minus 4 and 16 divided by 12. And
Yes.
So this whole thing was crazy.
I think again, it's just another expression of how my whole reaction to Alice was, you leave your house, you go out into the world expecting one thing based on how you're taught and how things work, and then everything is insane. But I think this is actually one of the biggest lessons I got from after the first episode was like this identification with Lewis Carroll. And that's why I looked up more about him, because I'm like, this guy wrote this in 19th century. What happened? And I thought like, because you just assume you're taught one way and you go out into the world, you think people are going to treat you well. You think you can trust systems, and then you find out, no, everybody's crazy.
you're all just making all this up.
You're all, and it's like, and on top of that, you're making me think like I'm the dumb one. Like you're all telling me when I'm like, absolutely not.
Wow.
It just takes a long time to really realize it. But then all the math thing, I thought it was like that. Like, oh, we're giving you knowledge. Here it is. And she's just trying to keep up with their craziness.
Exactly.
Multiplication.
So crazy.
You're like, ma'am.
So what does that come out to? I lost count.
I lost count.
Yeah, you did. That's the point. They're trying to make you lose count so you can't really see what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh
it does
my
feel like
goodness.
that.
It really is that.
Also, sorry.
Please.
Go
I
for
want to
it.
hear it.
Just the whole lesson of Alice with the like reality. I think this was a personal lesson for me. Was late. I keep saying in the last few years how I've really come to see how beautiful reality is. Because for so long, you've dealt with so many people that just aren't who they say they are, don't say what they do, or don't say what they say they'll do. Or people, whether it's religious or non-religious, but like believing for something you can't see. But usually it's used to like, you disassociate, you can't trust yourself. It's always like unreal. So now I've really come to this place of like, oh, it's so nice when someone is who they say it's just beautiful. Even if it's sad or scary, I just want to see something that's real. And I felt like that was a huge theme of Alice and the book is just like, they're spinning her up because everyone is crazy and insane. But when you finally get to something real, it's like so refreshing. Yeah, I think, and then it was nice to have the idea that the author is writing this book to kind of tell someone out there like, hey, I see you. You're not the only one that's having this experience in life, that everything is crazy over your head and insane. Like I see it too. And I'm writing a story about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That was literally in every song and every scene, but
yeah.
Well, so actually this is what I want to talk about because the Red Queen then cuts into this whole song. Before she does though, she talks about, or maybe it's the setup for the song, how life is all a game of chess. And again, we're here nearing the end of this film. So we're going to start hitting the nail on the head again.
Yeah.
Like, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to make a little marker. That's right. Life is all a game of chess. That's what we've been talking about. But then she goes
into... make the right moves.
What did you think about this song? Because I have problems.
Well, one, that there are no bad emotions. We've learned.
I was going to say, she's like, some are good and some are bad. And I was like, no, I have notes.
And maybe they didn't mean it like that. Maybe they just meant like you feel bad, but
you experience them and maybe they're unpleasant. Unpleasant.
Yeah.
I do love the lullaby, but that was like afterward. That was right after.
Yeah.
The lullaby song I like.
But this again felt like the same theme of nobody can hear Alice. Like she's still trying to talk to them and having a conversation and they're not hearing her.
Yeah.
And here's just, let's just sing about emotions.
Or they'll talk about like what's moving, what's moving us then. And she like half answers, but doesn't really answer. And then talks about the waves, what moves the waves.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's what moves us. I'm like, what? Like, sorry, this kind of reminded me maybe of some more religious stuff.
The answer is
people
basically...
are just saying things and we're all like, yeah. And then, no one knows what that means, but we're all just like,
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know. Gosh. That's what the answer is. We don't know, but we have to give you an answer.
Or at least try and have a conversation with me. Like, don't give me some blanket weirdo metaphor and then we're all supposed to just run with it.
Or feel like we're inspired because you just said something crazy.
Yeah. I know in the movie, I feel like you're supposed to identify with Alice. So that's what I feel the most. But I guess in a circumstance like that, as a parent, I go, okay, my kids ask me a question and there have been times where I have to remind myself, I don't necessarily need to give them the answer. The conversation is more important, you know? So, Dad, what about this? Or what's that? Or what? And if I don't know, it doesn't help for me to just make something up. But we feel the need to fill an answer in.
Yeah. Or even now that I've done so much like coaching stuff, the freedom I have when someone just asks me questions now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when I talk to someone, now I naturally want them to just ask me more about, what do you mean? Why are you feeling that? And all of a sudden I start to find myself into a little bit of an answer. Yeah. But if someone is in a rush to just give me what they think, that doesn't really help. Yeah. It's what you think. I'm like, I need help kind of figuring out what I think. And that's, I think, usually what kids want. Is like, help me figure this out.
Help me understand, not just give me the easy answer that you got from somebody else.
Yeah. Which goes back to the whole thing about the failure of all adults. No, I just mean like...
What was that one thing I said in the first podcast? The first episode of this was adults suck.
That's it. Well, just this idea that, you think it's your fault as Alice when you go into these places and they make you feel like it's their fault, but it's their way of projecting their insecurity and shame onto you. Like, we don't have an answer for you, so I'm going to play up a math song about 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 +, and it's to get it off of me so you can be stuck in your head doubting yourself while I sit comfortably.
Maybe this feeds into that because one of the questions that Carol Channing asks in that song about division or something is is a reverse. Like it's like 3 divided by 16, or it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Either she meant it to be complicated, or she's just like showing how ridiculous this is even that I'm asking this question.
The systems.
But when it comes to kids asking questions too,
Yeah.
I've recognized in my children, I will sometimes have a real answer. Like, Dad, why do they blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, actually, and I'll get 3 seconds into it and it's on to the next question. Like, oh, they just wanted to express that they were experiencing a question.
Wow.
But they don't even want the answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they want you to ask them more about it, maybe.
No, because they're on to the 5 other questions.
No. Yeah.
Boom, boom, and then this, and then this, and that. I'm like, why are you asking me questions if you just want to talk?
Yeah.
Happens a lot. So Alice gets to her castle with the little sign, Queen Alice or whatever. This is it. She's like arrived.
We didn't properly commend the lullaby song.
Oh.
The Red Queen and White Queen
What'd you like about it?
and Alice. I just thought her voice was really great. And
Her soft, airy vocal. It was really good.
She did a really good job.
Sorry, that was it. Segue.
So good that she put the White Queen to sleep.
Well, the White Queen was asleep already, wasn't she? Or no,
She was
just laid down.
Yeah, she
laying
just laid down.
down.
Yep.
One of my kids is like, is she dead? I'm like, oh no, that would have been a weird turn.
Not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, if you overdose,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. That was it. It was like, that's what it felt like. Alice sitting here with her like drunk grandmother on her
That's
lap.
back to like taking responsibility for this.
And then fall asleep on her.
You're right.
When Amanda and I were just dating, and we had gone to Cold Stone Creamery, which is a favorite of mine as a kid, and I had gotten my signature. It was like chocolate decadence or something, which is like chocolate or dark chocolate, maybe just chocolate ice cream with chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and some other form of chocolate in it in like a waffle bowl. I was such a fatty. Okay. And I had this thing, get back to that. We were at a house of some relative of hers who had been drinking a little bit. And I didn't know what was going on. And they were just talking to us so much like, oh, what is that you have that I was explaining? And this is like my treasure. And she just stuck her finger in the bowl.
Whoa.
And just ate it. And I was horrified.
That is
you know me.
bold.
It disgusts me. And I'm like, I can't eat any
I'm
of
kind
this.
of impressed with this family member.
And that's how this felt like. They're falling asleep on her. And she's just like, here I am. I'm in this
I'm
scenario.
stuck. Yeah, it sucks feeling that way as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, some people obviously have real experiences with like alcoholic people that do that to you. But I think even on emotional level with grownups where you feel like they haven't dealt with any of their stuff. And now you just get to take it. And you're like sitting there like grinning and smiling.
This is the type of stuff that makes you, like, as a parent, makes you want to protect your kids from adults and weirdos like that.
Or go-to therapy.
Oh, God.
As an adult.
Yeah. I mean,
The White Queen. Take your nap at home, ma'am. Not on the child's lap.
she's just on a sugar crash because she hasn't had jam since yesterday.
No, it's true. Well, she should have some jam, but she can't.
Never today.
Yeah.
Never today. Yep.
Alex walks into this castle, and it's hers, and there's a whole banquet prepared, and there's all this like yummy looking food, and there's a string quartet, and it's like, you've arrived. It's like in a big, lights or whatever. It feels like that. And then the White Rabbit is back, and he's singing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like we're coming to this is all so nice. Queen Alice, welcome. Everybody's
like
back.
a resolution.
A crescendo.
And then they all gather around the table, and then they make like a toast. And then again, it's on Alice. Spotlight is on you.
Yeah.
You still haven't grown up. You don't know how to act like an adult. Where are your manners? This is the tea
I'm
table.
angry just hearing this again. Because I'm like, she just wants to go home.
Yep.
And they're still no one's listening to her and still requiring of her to be like them. Like to follow some sort of weird made up rules.
Yep. To get to the tea table.
That's so funny.
This is it.
If you want.
If you're ever invited to tea anywhere, you're going to need to know. I think they said something exactly like that.
It's like if you want to fit in this society, this is what you have to do. And she's like, no, but this is what I want. This is who I am.
And she's like, this is all. She doesn't get any of it. I just want to go home. Yeah, like you said. And then a present has come for you, dear. And they bring the present and they put it on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hit her again with the anxiety max.
Yeah.
So this is what is happening.
And
this is hilarious.
Did you expect this coming at all? You haven't seen this?
I did. I did expect it.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, of course.
Okay, you were paying attention.
I even now I'm like, oh yeah, the present. And she opens it up and the Jabberwocky just inflates.
The way it inflates. I'm like, this is such a man.
And now
it's the same production value wise, right? It's the same suit, just inflated, and then they cut. And then they put somebody in it.
Yeah,
they didn't have a separate one.
But it's blowing fire now.
I also forgot it to my rewatch that I'm like, it flies.
It flies.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, there was no resolution beforehand for the Jabberwocky. So I'm like, oh, this must be it.
Yeah.
That's why I thought. That's why when it came, and they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is where it ends.
The White Queens yell. Yeah, that was where I was like, that was funny. She's still taking over the screen.
It is terrifying, though.
Yeah, no, she stole every scene.
Why is the Jabberwocky wet? It's like not just moist, it's dripping. And I was like, is that drool? Or is this whatever is igniting the flame?
It's probably described in the original book. You know, he's a slimy, dragon creature type thing.
She like backs into it. That was the scariest part.
When she rubs into his slimy stomach. Yeah. Ugh, it's disgusting. And
that goes away in the next scene.
The stomach?
No,
like the slime?
It's not there.
I don't know what that was. But the White Knight comes in again.
Of course, the White Knight
saves,
comes to save her, yeah.
Yeah. And then commercial. no, then he saves the day.
Then
I was like, what?
I don't remember the commercial.
Fade to black.
And she's running around, right? And then she comes right back basically to where she started this movie, Mr. Owl.
Yeah, right? That's right. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you gotta grow up. If you're gonna grow up,
you gotta face your fears.
You're not brave. You gotta conquer your fear. Mm-hmm. Yep. And she tries to bypass it by she sees her home through the looking glass. Yeah. And she's like, nope, I'm just running. I'm gonna go for it. She climbs through it. You see, she touches it and it goes like ding ling ling ling.
Yeah, she got there's nothing there.
And she climbs back into her house like, oh, thankfully, I'm home, I'm safe. And then the Jabberwocky just sticks his head through the glass.
Into
her real life living room.
Yeah.
And she's forced to face her fear.
Kind of. I mean, you're kind of behind a wall. It's not really going to fit. So it's really easy to be like, go away, I'm not afraid of you.
Well, I guess
you're not afraid of it because it's back there.
It blows fire.
It blows fire. It is still the sense of like, he's coming into my world. Now it's not even.
Yeah, it's scary that he crossed into her house.
I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid
As I say it with fear in my voice.
This made me revisit this whole idea of like, I don't agree with that lesson either though, that you
face your fear.
Yeah, like that'll make you grown up, like as if grown-ups aren't afraid. And
not
also, if I have to face my fears, I would like some help.
Yeah.
Like you all are making this worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just don't like that whole
all those characters aren't real. I mean.
Yeah. Well, just in that whole thing, I'm like, it'd be nice. The White Knight's the one that helped.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I guess what is
subconsciously, who is your White Knight?
Oh.
Are you really asking?
I don't know.
Any person that loves you well.
Yeah. And sits with
coming
you
alongside
in your struggle,
Yeah.
Advocates for you.
Yeah.
And they were saying though to Alice, the moral of this story is, okay, you are so eager to fast forward to this place of arriving at the adult table or the tea table or whatever, but you are not facing your experiences, whatever those emotions are, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, it's not even necessarily, I think, that you have to be the one that conquers it. You don't have to be the knight. You just have to be okay with this scary thing, right?
That, whatever scary thing it is.
Whatever it is. Like, face your fear doesn't mean like fix it and it goes away.
Yeah.
It just means it exists.
Which emotions are scary.
Yeah, don't let it, but don't let it overtake your life. Like, it can stay behind the glass on that side. It doesn't have to affect everything else that you're actually
I don't know about. Then it's like disassociating.
Yeah, keeping it locked in another room.
Well, I don't mean that way.
Until one day.
I don't mean it that way. I mean like you have that, like, I don't know. I'm still sometimes I'll get that I'm afraid of the dark a little bit kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It's darkness.
Now you have Elizabeth. She's your White Knight.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I know what's around me, even though it's dark, I can't see. There's nothing truly to be afraid of, but fear is still like a grounding thing.
Yeah. We live in this world and there are perils all around. Sorry, that was a Rings of Power reference. What is peril? And you just have to come to terms with, we are fragile human beings. Yeah. The world is dangerous. I'm in it.
It's chaotic.
It's chaotic, yeah.
Definitely chaotic.
Don't pretend like it's not, or don't make other people feel like idiots if they were afraid of something.
But I feel like being grown up.
Whether milk or for honey, for love and for money.
What
Is this from Alice?
I don't know what the words are. Jam tomorrow?
Oh,
Yes,
I was like,
yeah.
what is that even from?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tourette's.
You just said chaotic and it brought me back. Sorry, go on.
I mean, it's chaotic. That being grown up is like pretending you're not afraid, I think. Is like what
Is what they're trying to say.
I don't know if it's what they're saying or the message that is taken. Well,
I think a lot of the characters are telling her that.
Well, they're saying being
Pretend to
grown
be-
up is to get over your fear, but you don't get over your fear. So really, it's like this idea that I think as a kid watching, I have to pretend I'm not afraid because you're not going to get over your fears. You still have your fears.
The weird thing for me in this was that I didn't feel like the first part was about fear at all. Like it didn't come
Not
up.
till the Jabberwocky.
Yeah, not until the
that's thing.
Jabberwocky. But you get wrapped up at the end of this movie. Okay, so this whole thing happens. She faces a Jabberwocky. She kind of
This is why the first movie doesn't matter at all.
It is a little scary in the sense that you can't trust anyone. You don't know where you are. You're not at home. There are scary things, but the Jabberwocky is the most okay.
Yeah, but then when she wakes back up, okay, now she's still in the living room, but she's actually home. Her mom's waking her up, and she's asleep on the chair. It's bringing you back to the beginning of the first movie, and I think like, okay, well, that whole first bit where she's like going on the hillside with her sister, she can't contribute to the tea party. It doesn't feel like it connects as well for me. Maybe I'm missing something, but her mom's like, oh, well, Alice, wake up. Come on, it's tea time. And there's going to be strawberry shortcake and gingerbread and raspberry preserves, And she's like, oh, well, why are you telling me? And her awful mom is like, oh, I almost forgot to tell you, you're invited to tea. Your father and I talked about it and we decided you're grown up now. I'm like, what?
I thought it would have been a great twist at this part.
On the very same day.
On the very same day.
And then she decided that. She told her earlier that day, no.
I thought it would have been a nice twist at this part if she was like, no, thanks, Mom. I'm gonna go play.
That's
like
exactly what I wanted.
That's what I would have been. That's like what I think I...
That's a better written story right there.
Well, just the lesson I feel like I have learned in my own life. Like the hustle is not for me. Bye.
Right?
Like I don't want to fit into your weird standards. I'm going to go have fun.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of like, now that you say that, it's like one of those things that me and Elizabeth kind of want to instill on our kids is to be a kid as long as possible.
Yep.
Like I feel like I wasn't a kid I had to grow up pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, we're getting a theme here.
And now that I see and I have kids, I'm like, they want to grow up really fast, you know?
Yeah.
Eva is playing around with my broken iPhone, and she's pretending, to be a grown up.
Yeah.
I'm like, pretend all you want, be a kid, because once you become a grown up, there's no going back in the reality, So yeah, I think you're right.
How do you take your childhood with, like you're still the same.
With you, yeah.
You're still the same kid. You're just bigger now.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a big kid at heart,
It's still in there.
Yep, still in there. Yeah, that would have been a much better twist. To be like, nah, you can have your tea party. Adults suck.
I'm
I'm gonna go play outside. Where are the other kids?
Yeah. Hey, she has a stuffed Jabberwocky she's playing with.
Yeah.
Well, we got to the end of this and I was asking everybody in my house their opinions like I usually do when we finish these. And everybody's opinion was this was better than the first. Everybody who had seen the first part went, okay, I enjoyed this more. I liked, everybody liked the jam song. I think that was most people's favorite.
The dancing.
Yeah, well.
It was just crazy.
Well, the second half just had more of the, like, it was still reaching climax before it had its resolution. So the story part was all more in the second part, I think.
This is probably why you guys recorded the second one, not the first one.
I don't know if the intention went into it, but I'm like, if I was going to watch any part of this, only this part, this is a better
Mom
one.
and Dad don't remember who recorded this?
I haven't asked. Call them, Jose. We never recorded this movie at all. How did it end up in the library? Open up the cassette.
Angel.
A Jabberwocky pops out of the VHS.
I just felt scared for no reason.
A VHS has arrived for you, Jeff. Oh my God!
I'd like to call a lifeline.
Yeah. So what did you guys think? Part two. Is this pure nostalgia or does it actually hold up?
It does not hold up, fellas.
I was letting go swing
There's much better ways to tackle these topics in a movie than this crap.
He wasted no time. Okay, so I think
he's Humpty Dumpty. This movie's dumb. Don't you know the difference between a belt and a cravat?
I mean, I love all the themes you're pulling out of it, and that are probably intentionally there.
I think until a month ago,
do this in a better way.
I may have said the same thing because I never even tried to analyze it. But I think for its medium, which is kind of like a stage production,
it is a stage. It's a stage play on TV.
Time, it actually, and it felt like specifically. This is my second time bringing up drag. It felt like a drag show. It's really played up to have fun with it, to engage with it.
Yeah, a caricature of a good production.
Even Alice's outfit and her wig, is very. That's not realistic. It's but it's entertaining in that sense. Like, what crazy campy thing are they going to do next? It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think in that part, I was never mind all the lessons, but otherwise, I don't know. You have to take it, I guess, at the medium it is. It isn't like a modern whatever depiction. But then it's also just a crazy story. So
it is.
The story is crazy and great. It made me appreciate the story more. Watching number 2 made me appreciate, and number 1 made me appreciate number 2 more, part 2.
Mm.
Okay. Because I loved John Stamos was great. The White Knight, even the White King, who was a little aloof, not as bad as the King of Hearts or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, my dear, somebody's head, or whatever.
Oh, they pulled around the corner of the Jabberwocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciated this much more than part 1. If you're going to watch any part of this, part 2, I will say this production is all nostalgia for me. It's hard for me to have a rating on this that I feel like is valid because I've seen it and I know it. I can almost quote it.
Couple comments. One, that this is always hard when you get to this part of your podcast because I always want to say a little bit of both sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, I just finished reading that book, The Tolkien in the 21st Century. And I liked what he talked about, how these Tolkien adaptations of the books and the writings and the movies and the TV shows, how different ways you can appreciate it. They don't all have to look the same. They're all taking an aspect of this writing and showing it in a fun, different, artsy way. And again, I think in that aspect, this is an expression of Lewis Carroll's writings that show it in such a unique, funky way that doesn't encompass everything or full quality or everything from the writings, but it is just a projection, one fun projection.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reason why I think this story keeps getting retold, redone in movies, because the themes are there, and you can't deny those. But I want to say, have you guys ever? Oh, there's a YouTuber. His name is Jeremy Johns. He reviews movies, and at the end, he always gives it a rating, and he always says at the end is either it needs, watch this with alcohol required or no alcohol. This one is alcohol required.
Mushrooms required.
Because I mean, if you're going into it, watching it with some nostalgia, or man, you like plays, you like that type of medium, low budget, high school play on TV type of thing.
You shut that way down.
Campy, whatever sort of stuff, whatever, exaggerated. Okay, you'll pull some themes out. It's fun and it's funny. I mean, if it got made today with characters and actors that we know today, and
Johnny Depp per se.
Yeah, Johnny Depp per se. But I mean, people that are in the limelight right now, A-listers right now, and Scorsese did it, and it was ridiculous or something. People would watch it, and then 40 years from now, they'd be like, "This was terrible," or maybe not. I don't know. But man, I mean, honest for me, definitely one and done.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to recommend for someone.
It really is hard to recommend.
If you are brave enough, is it worth somebody going back?
I think if you're interested in Alice folklore.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
A quick question before we move on.
Really hard to find though. I mean,
it's only on YouTube.
Only on YouTube.
Yeah. If you look up 1985 Alice in Wonderland, would you rather recommend somebody watch this, the Disney animated version, or the live action Johnny Depp, which I don't remember.
It's been a while since I've watched the other ones. I've seen them all. I feel like actually, since this whole month of discussion around this, I'm probably going to appreciate all of them way more.
Yeah.
So maybe I have to rewatch
The Disney one? I'd probably go to the Disney one first. Especially that old school animation. We just finished watching Sword in the Stone. It's really closely to that.
So good.
Yeah, I think I'd enjoy. I think more people would enjoy that and try to find the themes of this.
I wonder, because I haven't watched that in so long that I wonder if it's way more apparent than I ever realized.
Yeah.
I just remember the feeling of like, same thing. Like, why is the Cheshire Cat so mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if when they made this, the adults making this knew about these themes and wanted to do something like, hey, let's paint adults in this like crazy light of.
Let's literally paint them.
I think they did because, well, because that is a shared theme in all of them.
Yeah.
Is like everybody's a little crazy and untrustworthy and chaotic.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And she's navigating it all.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. That's 3 opinions.
Dinah. Shout out to Dinah the cat. My favorite part of all the depictions.
Did she show back up at the end?
No, just I hadn't seen, I don't think, the first half. So I'm like, it's Dinah. She's really cute.
Let's close the loop.
It's like a snake eating its own tail.
I only have one thing, unless, James, you come with corrections from the previous 14 episodes. But
here we go.
One I want to go back to, episode 13, The Godfather, is an episode you can't refuse.
Oh, yes.
Michael has an injury and he's in Italy. And we were questioning the timeline because of the bruise on his face.
Oh, that's right, that bruise.
And it seems like he's there for a long time. I looked this up. Talk about falling down a rabbit hole. The internet has a lot to say about this very specific thing. But here are some details that I found. One, there is more said about it in the book. Godfather was originally a book.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael was in Italy. This is, if you average all the responses, around 2 years. So, because we're watching this going, it seems like a long time. He got married, but also this bruise is still on his face. Okay, his jaw was broken and a local mafia appointed doctor, this is in quotes, tried to fix Michael, but it still left him scarred and with a constant nasal drip. It says in the book, the punch caused major damage to Michael's sinus cavity, probably broke his orbital bone, if any of you wondered as well. Hence, this is why he needs a hanky all the time because his nose keeps running.
Wow.
So it wasn't repaired finally until he gets surgery on Kay's recommendation to fix this disfigurement that he had. So it was like a thing. So honestly, maybe they should have leaned into it and made him more disfigured.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, is he still bruised from this punch?
Wow.
But I guess it was a way more.
Yeah, because they didn't do any they didn't mention surgery or anything like that in the movie.
And there was a whole thing in the book about a subplot by the doctor who became Lucy Mancini's, who was Sonny's former mistress, lover in the book. And it was mostly taken out of the movie. There was this whole thing.
Crazy.
Very mindful of the book.
Yeah. Have you watched The Godfather?
No, not yet.
Oh, you should watch it. When he comes back and he sees Kay, doesn't he tell her, like, I've been back for 2 years?
It's like a year. Been back for a year, 6 months or a year. Or
so that bruise and all that stuff happened within, like, it was a 4-year run.
Well, no.
If he was in Italy for 2 years.
2 years and back, or maybe the 2 years was the time span before he got back together with her. So say like 2 to 3 years.
Crazy.
He was messed up. Imagine your sinuses.
Imagine that punch. That must have been a really good punch.
I mean,
that guy's strength.
There are way worse injuries in this movie, but
like getting shot 1,700 times.
Yeah. And walking out of your car after that somehow. I still don't really know how that happened.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's exactly it. The photo or the video effects are a little bit more realistic in The Godfather. Well, I want to let folks know you can always send us your suggestions at plumcake@wdyt.show.
That plum cake.
Yeah, no, just plum cake or that plum cake. You can also find us on Instagram at wdyt.show. The reason is we want to know your opinions and suggestions for future stuff. So, Jimmy, if you're like, you guys should really cover whatever, you can go to at wdyt.show, any of these places, and let us know. In the meantime, speaking of, what are you guys into right now? So you said a lot of stuff.
I am.
Time is short.
It's going to get dark.
Okay.
Well, I'm in the middle of The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my gosh.
I had never watched it before.
I've never seen it.
And it's actually quite gripping. Couple things about it. Not only are there some shared lessons with Alice, but as a story progression, I'm really impressed, especially with how many TV shows I watch now. They are like annoyingly drawn out. This show, like every episode is like a really meaningful story arc, which I guess it's also from a book. So like every time I'm like, oh man, Oh man, like every time. And the nice thing too is that the main character, I feel like of the TV shows, they never do what you want them to do, or they don't say what you want them to say in the moment. And she actually does. I'm like, oh, and it always like causes like this ripple effect. So for that, it's kind of fun, but it is actually a very intense, good show. I just never watched it because I think it was dramatic at first when I first did. And so I didn't want to get into it.
Yeah.
And now I have all this time in my hands. So
On your single hand.
On your
yeah.
That is a lot to take on, though. I haven't, there's a couple things that I still want to get into because we talked about, I think, the Penguin series.
Started that.
Did you?
I started
like
it. Yep.
Is it good?
Yeah. So 2 episodes already,
Yeah.
and the third one came out Sunday. I haven't watched that one yet. It actually is. I mean, it's shot very similarly to the
Alice?
Batman.
Oh.
It's Alice. Yes. The Penguin. You know, he falls down this like manhole,
Stop.
and
Dying of the cat.
and you know, Batman is his Jabberwocky. No, I know it's really good. It's well written. Yeah, you should watch it. And we started watching because I'm a big fan of Smallville, and Kristen Kirk has a new show called Murder in a Small Town.
Oh.
It's based off a book.
Okay.
So it's not a who done it, it's a why they did it kind of like crime thing. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
It's very Hallmarky-ish, you know?
You lost me at Hallmark.
Yeah. But I'm watching it because like Elizabeth really likes that type of stuff.
Throwing Elizabeth under the bus.
No, yeah. But I'm a big fan of Kristen Kirk, so I'm like, I want to watch this.
Yeah.
And because it's Hallmarky-ish, Elizabeth's like, oh, this is cool. And she likes that whole, mystery stuff. Yeah. So.
That's interesting. I'm trying to think of what we have been watching because we did finish Rings of Power.
Yes.
You feel that way too?
Should I
finish?
Is
it
there
done?
Spoilers if I say something?
Is it done?
Josue hasn't watched it. The second season is done.
Oh, really?
There
How many
was one cool
episodes?
scene.
8.
8. Oh, wow. Because I only watched 3 because I'm waiting. I'm holding off to finish watching with some friends. But I didn't know it was done.
I still feel the same in that I was happy to experience the world of Tolkien and Middle Earth and stuff. But by the end of it, I was like, okay.
Yeah, there
Really?
are parts of it and characters that really hit, like a couple scenes, and then there's a lot that's frustrating.
The first 3 episodes that I saw felt like it was like getting better. So now you're making me feel like it plateaus.
Oh, well, the
and
action
falls.
of season 2 is definitely like peak
Mm.
that, but some of the way the story is written is frustrating.
Okay. Yeah.
A
Well,
lot forced into it.
it happens.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so I have been encouraging people to interact with us on Spotify because they can let us know whether or not they think Alice holds up, first of all, if you scroll down on Spotify and vote there.
I guess you really have to find people that are watching it for the first time.
Yeah, I'm actually curious because the Godfather one, somebody said it doesn't hold up. And I'm
really?
Grateful for the interaction, but then also like, who said that?
Yeah, exactly.
Then I get it. Everybody's got their own opinion and I would love it. And so you can even throw your suggestions there for future stuff. But talking about future stuff, next week's episode. So for folks listening, if you don't know what we're doing next week yet, and you pause right now and go to the artwork and zoom in and try and guess
Oh yes,
what this is going to be.
Oh, yes.
the what do you call it?
Elusive Easter egg.
Easter egg.
Easter eggs. Yeah.
The Humpty Dumpty egg. Okay. Do you know, I will say today, I looked up, I was not even looked up. I just happened to be casually scrolling Facebook. I'm going to try and find this here.
Did Only Murders in the Building
Yes.
started again, right?
And it was really good.
Yeah, Elizabeth loves it. She's watching that. I haven't started it. I need to go back to the very beginning if I want to watch it along with her or whatever.
They had a recent episode where everything was filmed from like every camera shot was like a phone or a laptop
really?
or like a ring camera.
Okay.
Like the whole episode was that, and it was really funny.
That's super
And it was
creative.
good.
I
Yeah,
like that
it
kind of
was cool.
stuff.
Well, all that to say, I can't find it, but I literally was scrolling Facebook today and I saw that there had been a reunion of the cast of the Addams Family just happened.
With Joan
Oh,
Cusack?
really?
That one or the TV show?
No, the old movies.
The old movie,
next
yeah.
week,
Yeah.
if they have
With
paused.
Joan Cusack.
Yes, but she wasn't in the reunion, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
But
My favorite part.
at any rate, next week we're watching Addams Family Values, which is the second in the Addams Family
Yeah.
saga.
With the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The one that they're in camp.
Because I have fond nostalgic memories of that. And last time
That's a
I tried
good
to
movie.
watch some of it with the
Yeah.
kids, Clark was too small and he was terrified of Fester. We didn't get 20 minutes into the episode.
Fester?
The
One of my
first one.
favorite
You know what
scenes
freaked
of
me
all
out was
time.
always the hand. He always freaked me out when I was a kid.
When she's sitting in the car crying and then laughing, that's one of my favorite scenes of all time.
I don't remember that.
Like when the house blows up and she's pretending she's sad and then starts laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, I share that because we have been oddly clairvoyant with these episodes. We'll schedule these things out.
Claire?
And then just out of the blue, speaking of, we started watching Heroes again. Doesn't matter. Out of the blue, like the Addams Family cast is having a reunion right at the time we're recording this episode.
That's awesome.
So I would say, folks, it's going to be well worth the listen because it's the time for the Addams Family.
Yep.
It's a good movie.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump. Well, guys, please let us know what you think. Like I said, you can scroll down on Spotify and let us know. I literally just found where I pasted that thing, by the way. It was right here in my notes in front of me. It doesn't matter. Until then, give us a 5-star rating.
Please.
Jimmy, where's your favorite place to give us a 5-star review and rating?
Well, I only use the Apple Podcast app. So
please do that then.
I use Spotify for music, though, but not for podcasts.
Yeah, I like it.
But I did go to vote.
On The Godfather? Are you the downvote?
No, it wasn't The Godfather. I forgot which one.
I'm going to find this person.
Please let us know if you were the one.
It was Ezra.
Yeah.
It was Ezra.
No, you the listener though, take 5 seconds and give us 5 stars. It's really easy. You can do it super quick and you can find links to all of those as well as to our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen the Test Kitchen yet, links to Instagram, all that is at wdyt.show. That's what do you think? Yeah.
Nice.
That's the place where we do it. We'd love to hear from you.
What would Dave do? I was trying. It's close to WWJD.
Yeah. Don't confuse them, James.
James, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
This has been a real pleasure. I was really looking forward to hearing your opinions.
Yeah, I love your deep dives into all the different aspects of the.
There's more. I could talk about this for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, so everybody look for Jimmy's comments on Spotify. He'll be breaking down each character one by one of Alice in Wonderland. But until then, we are looking forward to talking to you.
James, where can people follow you, man?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
_Jimmy8 on Instagram.
Awesome.
It's probably my most present social media presence.
Not the number, but is in the past tense of eating.
I have 8. Like, if she really ate that. The play also with food, but
yeah, you post some amazing food.
Just food, lots of food.
You must have a high metabolism.
I've realized I do because I haven't done any exercise for like 5 weeks and I haven't really gained much weight, which I was surprised. I just witnessed.
That's a blessing.
For now, maybe it's all gonna land one day.
It's coming downhill. Yeah. All right, everybody. Yeah. So we look forward to talking to you next time. It's going to be the Addams Family.
It's going to be fun.
Thanks, elsewhere.